There's a unique kind of loneliness that exists only on the highway. It's the space between exits, between streetlights, between towns. It's just you, the hum of your engine, and a river of asphalt cutting through an endless, sleeping landscape. Your world shrinks to the cone of your headlights, a small island of light moving through a sea of darkness. It's in this isolation that the mind can play tricks. Or perhaps, it's in this isolation that we become aware of the things that travel these same roads, things that don't need headlights, things that are just waiting for a lone car to cross their path. These are 4 stories from that lonely space, stories from people who saw something in their rearview mirror or found something on the road that they can never forget. Story 1. The truck that wasn't there. This happened to a man named Alex, a seasoned sales driver who thought he'd seen everything on the interstates. He was driving late on I-80 through Pennsylvania, a notoriously dark and winding stretch of mountain highway. It was around 2 a.m., and he hadn't seen another car for nearly 20 minutes. The only light came from his own headlights and a sliver of moon peeking through the clouds. That's when he saw the headlights behind him. They were high up, like those of a semi-truck, but they were a strange, sickly yellow color, not the bright white or halogen he was used to. They appeared suddenly in his rearview mirror, already uncomfortably close. Alex, being a courteous driver, signaled and moved to the right lane to let the faster vehicle pass. But it didn't pass. It just stayed there, riding his bumper. The lights were so bright in his mirrors they were blinding, washing out the interior of his car in that eerie yellow glow. Annoyed, Alex tapped his brakes lightly, a universal signal to back off. The truck didn't react. He tried slowing down further, hoping it would just go around. Nothing. It matched his speed perfectly. A knot of anxiety tightened in his stomach. He decided to speed up, pushing his sedan to 85, then 90 miles per hour. The truck kept pace effortlessly, its grille now seeming to fill his entire rearview mirror. He could feel the vibrations of its massive engine through his own car. He could even smell something now, a foul, metallic odor, like rust and old blood seeping in through his air vents. Terrified, he started looking for an exit, any exit. But the signs were all blank. No town names, no mile markers, just reflective green blanks. His phone had no signal. He was trapped on this dark stretch of road with this thing. In a final, desperate move, he slammed on his brakes. There was no impact, no screech of tires. The blinding yellow light simply vanished. His car skidded to a halt on the shoulder, his heart trying to beat its way out of his chest. He sat there, trembling, for a full 5 minutes. When he finally gathered the courage to look back, the road behind him was empty and dark. He pulled back onto the highway and drove, white-knuckled, until he saw the welcome lights of a service station. He stumbled into the brightly lit convenience store and told the bored-looking clerk about the aggressive truck. The clerk stopped wiping the counter and looked at him, his expression grim. "Yellow lights?" he asked. Alex nodded. The clerk shook his head. "You're not the first to see it. They say it's a ghost truck, a fuel tanker that went over the side of the mountain back in the 70s. The driver was never found. It doesn't want to pass you, son. It just wants to chase you, to run you off the road so you can join it." Story 2. The Woman in White. Every culture has a version of the vanishing hitchhiker. For college students Maya and Chloe, it was just a campfire story. That changed on a road trip through the desert Southwest. It was the middle of the night, and they were taking turns driving to make good time. Maya was behind the wheel when she saw a figure up ahead, standing under a lone, flickering streetlight in an otherwise pitch-black landscape. As they got closer, they saw it was a woman in a flowing white dress. She was strikingly beautiful, but her face was pale and streaked with tears. She held out a thin, pale hand, thumb extended. "Don't stop," Chloe said from the passenger seat, a chill running down her spine. "It's not safe." But Maya, feeling a surge of empathy, had already slowed down. "She looks like she's in trouble. It's the middle of nowhere." Against Chloe's protests, she pulled over just past the woman. The woman in white glided to Chloe's window. She leaned in, and her voice was like the sound of wind through dry reeds. "Thank you," she whispered. "My car, it broke down, just up the road. Can you take me to the next town?" She got in the back seat. An unnatural cold filled the car. The girls tried to make small talk, But the woman only gave one-word answers, staring blankly out the window. She gave them a specific address on a street called Sycamore Lane. After about 10 minutes of driving in heavy silence, Chloe, unable to shake her fear, glanced back into the rearview mirror. The back seat was empty. She screamed. Maya jerked the wheel, nearly sending them off the road. They pulled over, their hearts hammering. The back seat was definitely empty. The door was still locked from the inside. There was no trace of the woman, only a lingering chill and the faint smell of desert dust and chamomile. Shaken to their core, they drove straight to the next town and found a police station. A weary-looking officer listened to their frantic story. When they mentioned the address on Sycamore Lane, he went pale. "You girls need to come with me," he said quietly. He led them to a small cemetery on the edge of town. He walked them to a weathered, moss-covered gravestone. The name was illegible, but the date of death was from 1952. The epitaph read, "Beloved daughter, taken from us too soon." And at the base of the stone, someone had left a fresh bouquet of chamomile flowers. The officer explained that decades ago, a young woman in a white wedding dress was killed on that stretch of highway when her car broke down and she was struck by a passing truck. She was on her way to her wedding reception at a house that once stood on Sycamore Lane. She wasn't trying to get a ride to town. She was trying to get a ride back to her wedding. Story 3. Not all highway horrors are ghost stories. Some are far more visceral. This account comes from a long-haul trucker named Ben. He was driving a desolate stretch of two-lane highway in West Texas, a place where the sky is huge and the towns are few and far between. It was just before dawn, that time of night when the world is at its quietest. Up ahead, in the dim glow of his high beams, he saw a figure standing on the shoulder. It was a man, tall and unnaturally thin, dressed in what looked like a ragged, dark suit. He was standing perfectly still, facing the road, but as Ben's truck got closer, he saw the man had no face. Where his features should have been, there was just a smooth, pale expanse of skin. Ben's blood ran cold. He gripped the wheel tighter and kept his speed, determined to pass this thing by. As he drew alongside the figure, its head turned, tracking the cab of the truck with that blank, featureless face. And then it raised one arm, not in a hitchhiking gesture, but as if pointing directly at Ben. Ben slammed his foot on the gas, his rig roaring as he sped away. He watched in his side mirror, expecting to see the figure recede into the darkness. But it didn't. The figure was still there, standing on the shoulder, but now it was closer. It was as if it had covered 100 yards in a split second. He blinked, thinking his eyes were playing tricks. He looked again. The figure was there again, even closer now, its arms still raised. It was gaining on him. Panic seized him. He pushed his truck as fast as it would go, the engine screaming. He dared another glance in the mirror. The figure was now so close he could see the texture of its ragged suit. Its blank face was just outside his window. Ben swerved violently across the empty road, tears of terror in his eyes. When he looked again, the figure was gone. He didn't slow down until the sun broke over the horizon, bathing the desert in a safe, warm light. He told his story at the next truck stop. He expected laughter, but was met with grim nods. Other drivers had seen it too. They called it the slender man of the staked plains. They said it doesn't want to ride, it doesn't chase you, it just appears, closer each time you look, and no one knows what happens if it ever gets close enough to touch your vehicle. Story 4. The Backseat Passenger. Our final story is every driver's worst nightmare. A woman named Jessica was driving home from a late shift at the hospital. It was past midnight, and she was exhausted. She decided to take a shortcut down a lonely country road she usually avoided. To stay awake, she had her windows cracked and the radio on. About halfway down the dark, tree-lined road, she hit a deep pothole. The jolt was severe, and she heard a loud thump from the undercarriage. Fearing she had damaged her car, she pulled over onto the grassy shoulder. She got out with her phone flashlight to take a look. There was no obvious damage. Sighing with relief, she walked back to her driver's side door. As she reached for the handle, she froze. Her blood turned to ice. Lying on the back seat of her car, amidst the fast food wrappers and her gym bag, was a long, sharp, and very dirty hunting knife. It hadn't been there when she left work. Her mind raced. The pothole. Had someone been hiding in the back seat? Had they dropped the knife when she hit the bump? Or worse, had they been holding it, waiting for her to get to a more isolated spot, and the jolt had dislodged it from their grip? She was too terrified to open the door. She backed away from the car, her eyes fixed on the knife in the back seat. She fumbled with her phone, her hands shaking too badly to dial 911. As she stood there in the dark, paralyzed with fear, she saw it. A movement. In the footwell of the passenger seat, just behind the front seats. A slow, deliberate shift in the shadows. She wasn't alone. Someone or something was still in there. They had been hiding, crouched down low, the entire time she was inspecting the car. A low, guttural whisper came from the open car window. It was so soft she almost missed it, but the words were clear. "You should have kept driving." Jessica didn't wait another second. She turned and ran, screaming, down the dark road, not looking back, leaving her car and everything in it behind. The police found the car later, doors open, engine cold. The knife was gone. There was no one inside. But pressed into the mud near the passenger side door was a single, fresh boot print pointing towards the woods. They never found who it belonged to. 4 highways. 4 encounters in the dead of night. A chasing phantom, a ghost trying to get home, a figure that defies distance, and a predator already in the car. They all serve as a chilling reminder. The highway isn't just a road, it's a corridor, and you never know what else is traveling it with you. So the next time you're driving alone late at night, and you see a pair of headlights in your mirror that don't seem quite right, or a figure on the side of the road, check your locks. Take the next exit, and whatever you do, don't stop. Because the scariest part of the journey isn't the destination, it's the things you meet along the way.